Hello everyone, and welcome to my 13th race for Apex Racing League. We are at Abu Dhabi, as I'm sure you've already gathered, and I'm of course still driving my Ferrari. So, as usual, you join me on my outlap for qualifying. There will be 3 laps that I'll show you for qualifying. So I had quite a few quick laps, as I'm sure you've just gathered. So, just get my tyres nice and warm then by doing lots of swerving around. As we come now into the final sector, coming towards the end of the lap. I'm not so confident I can get pole. I am of course on the prime tyres. I'm not so confident I can get pole, to be honest, but I'm quite confident for the race win, so fingers crossed for that. But as I said, pole, not so much, so we'll see how it plays out. So coming to the final corner then, going to rich mixture, right down to first gear to make myself turn in nicely. Full throttle then, DRS wide open, use all the curves I can before the line. And we're now into the first lap, so coming to the first corner, braking bang on the 100 metre on the right hand side, right down to second gear to make it turn in nicely. Get on the throttle nice and early to get some good exit speed. DRS wide open, shut it briefly on both apexes, so one shut and I'll just shut it again and open it again as early as I can without running out too wide. Braking just for the 100 metre ball on the right hand side there, then right down to second gear and then down to first for this next corner. Try and cut them as much as possible without obviously cutting them with all 4 wheels. Coming through the hairpin now then, very tight as I get a bit of oversteer on the exit there, bit of wheel spin, a bit of oversteer. DRS is now wide open, I've only used about 25% of my curves or so down this straight, and that's because I'm going to hit the rev limiter at the end whether I use curves or not, so it seems a bit of a waste to me, so I will use the rest of it on the next straight. So braking just after the 150 metre wheel, then right down to first gear, keep it nice and tight, and get on the throttle early for this next corner. You can't use much throttle on the apex, so you've got to get on the throttle to get good speed through the corner, and then you've got to, just after you hit the apex, you've got to get hard on the throttle then. So used all my curves then, DRS is wide open, you'll be braking just before the 100 metre wheel on the right hand side there, right down to second gear. First gear now, coming through these fast left, right, left. Luckily someone's already taken out that bollard to the left there, so I could run over the curve a little bit. There was a bollard on the left there as well. DRS is wide open then for these double fast right-hander. Can do it with DRS wide open all the way, right until you get on the brakes. Braking just as you start to straighten the car out there. Right down to first gear, you can cut the curve a little bit more than that, but I didn't quite manage it. DRS wide open then for a little bit between the 2 corners, and DRS wide open once again for the run to the penultimate corner. Right down to third gear, try not to run too wide as it's very easy to do. I think it's slightly off camber that corner, it feels anyway. And this corner is very tricky with the camber, it's on camber, off camber. It's a little bit strange, so DRS wide open for run to line then. What it is, a 39.486, so not a bad lap time at all. That's pretty good, that's more or less on par with my PB. Before this, my personal best was around about 39.2, I believe, which I did on the afternoon before the race. The race, of course, on Sunday, so you can see their fastest lap, no one's beating it yet, so I'm on provisional pole. I'm actually a 10th up, but not purple, so someone's gone faster than me first sector, interestingly, but still, I'm a 10th up on what I've managed, so I'm already on for a 39.3, if I can manage to keep this up. And hopefully, obviously, we're trying to improve with the rest of the lap and get even more, so we'll see then. DRS is wide open for the run down the long straight, very long back straight here. So I've gone fairly long with the gear ratios to help me qualifying, but not so long that it shouldn't hinder me too much in the race. So right down to first, and Zomac is in front of me there. Hopefully he gets out of the way. He does indeed. Goes straight over there. Gets right out of my way. So DRS is wide open then, using the rest of my curves. Coming to the end of the second sector now then. Am I going to be up? So up through the gears, up into 7th gear. Coming to the end just about now. So yes, I am. Purple sector, faster than anyone. 2 tenths up almost. So I'm on for a very low 39.2. No, actually not very low, sorry, just 39.2. Just about. So that'll be a good lap, that'll be on par with my personal best, so that'll be very good to get that, I'll be happy with that. DRS is wide open once again then, coming to the final sector, trying to get it all slowed down, I just about managed it. Ooh, very nearly cut that corner there, but I think I just about managed to keep at least 2 wheels on the race circuit there. So once again, getting very close to cutting the corner. Ooh, as I went a bit wide there, you want to avoid that little gully there in the curb, it pulls you in and sucks you into the wall, so you need to be very careful there. Once again, being a little bit careful on that last corner, not to run out wide. Final corner then, pushing to get to the line. Can I do it? Can I beat my time? It's going to be a 39.111, so I gained another 10th in the final sector, so pretty much a 10th per sector. So I managed to get a 39.1, that is my personal best, so that's not bad, is it? Getting a personal best in the league race. So we've now pitted, put on a brand new set of tyres. I did try the last lap, but I think I made a mistake in the first or second sector, so unfortunately that one didn't turn out right, but this is going to be pretty much my final lap, because I don't really want to be doing 3 laps on this one set of tyres. I could get another lap in after that, but I don't really want to in terms of tyres, but I don't think I'll need it, because at the moment I'm still comfortably in the lead. I believe Zomac currently is in second there in the top left. He's done something like a 39.8, so I'm comfortably in the lead at the moment, but I'm very wary of the people like Ben, who I believe is also on primes. Could most definitely beat me, particularly if anyone decides to switch to options, like someone like Ben or Rani. I think they're both on primes, so if they decide to switch to options towards the end here, they could definitely jump me, but so I'm trying to improve now then. I was actually a tenth and a half down in the first sector, didn't mention it. Too busy yapping on about other things, but I was actually a tenth and a half down, but I'm still pushing. Hope that I might better claw that back just about. As I push since the end of the session, nothing to lose. These tyres aren't going to be used unless I improve them, so good time. So I'm actually a tenth up. Wow, that's a fantastic middle sector then. Well, what was it, about 2.5 tenths or so? Yeah, 2.5 tenths I would have gained in the middle sector. So if I'd have got that first sector just about right, I would have been, well, if I even got the same time. Bring it down now then. If I'd have got the same time in the first sector, tenth and a half, again, I would have been 3.5 tenths up, I believe. Something like that. I might be wrong, but I'm trying to commentate as well as work it out in my head. It's not easy. Anyway, we're coming into the final corner now then. Well, just before it, so now we're in the final corner. Can I improve it then? I was 10th up in the middle sector, but it's not been a fantastic final sector. Can I improve it? I can, ever so slightly, 200ths of a second, which puts me just about into the 39 zeros. Confirmation there, pole position for me, which I was not expecting, but Vernie had a fantastic lap in the Mercedes. Got right up to second. He doesn't often qualify that high, so well done to him. 39.8 there, and Zermacher was in third. Ben right down in 6th place, at 40.0, so almost a second down on me. That was interesting. And I definitely could have improved, couldn't I, since I was a tenth and a half down in that first sector, and I lost about a tenth in the last sector, so there was about 2.5 tenths more to be had there, so I could have been well into the 38s if I got that perfect lap in. There we go. So as we have a quick look through my setup now then, I'll just tell you what I changed for my becoming fairly standard setups now. I've gone a bit softer on the suspension to help me in the slower corners, and a bit higher on the ride height, and I've also taken the rearward balances down a little bit. Looking at my strategy now then, just seeing how far I can go on these tyres. So I'm going to be pitting on lap 17, and I'm going to be going for a normal race fuel strategy. So I thought about aggressive, but there's quite a few long straights on this track, so I in the end went to normal. Aggressive is good because it means you can, like Ben did to me in India, you can usually pull out a few seconds in the first stint just because you're a lighter car than the car behind. Even if the car behind you is rich, you can usually still just about pull it out, but it does depend on the circuit. So this circuit I've gone for standard. We'll see how that plays out. So there you can see, look, 3 laps spare of fuel. That'll probably go up to 4 as we get off the line. But anyway, here we go. So 4 lights, 5 lights, building the revs up, and they're out and we're away then. So straight to Richmond as my car goes for a brief second there. So minimise movement once again. Curves then. I don't think Bernie choose any curves. I'm inside there, so just leaving a bit of room just in case that'd be inside of me. Oh, was a bit of oversteer and wind up just about off the track, but I'm ahead of Vernie, so I've managed to keep my position, which is certainly no mean feat, with Vernie behind me and Zermacher both on the option tyres. So I was actually expecting to lose a position or two on the start, but as I said, Vernie didn't use curves. With the benefit of hindsight, I've watched this video, he didn't use curves at the start and I did, which just about gave me enough advantage, but he was at my inside, so I did need to give him some room, which I did. So using the rest of my curves now then, they're plenty far back from me. I'm not too worried about them getting me into this next corner, but the corner after that, if I mess this next one up in the braking perhaps, it might be able to do it. So still we need to keep pushing hard. Rich mixture then. So braking bang on the 150 board still. Same place as you do in quality pretty much. But obviously in the race you don't have DRS, which is the reason, so you're not going as fast. You need to lose as much speed. So coming out to the end of the second sector along this second back straight. Looks like I've got a pretty good gap to Vernie, to be honest. So we've had 2 sectors of the race and I'm already 1.2 ahead of him, so Zermacher's 0.3 behind him, so it's a lot closer. So I can do left, right, left now then. And around the left-hander. So let's see if I can get over 2 seconds in this final sector, fingers crossed. So braking now then, very tricky braking zone there. It's very, very easy to lock your front right tyre there. Since it's got not a lot of weight on it, it's offloaded. It's very easy to do, but I managed to not do it, just about. So I'm not sure where Ben is at the moment. I think he is in around 5th or 6th. Somewhere around there. He started 6th, wasn't it? He actually went down a place off the start to 7th. Again, benefit of hindsight by watching his videos. And then I think he's now up to 5th, so he's not too far back. So 2 seconds now to Vernie. So it's looking pretty good. I'm definitely pulling out a pretty good gap on him already, so I need to keep pushing, because if I expect Ben will be faster than that, so if Ben manages to carve through the field in a couple of laps, I want a bigger gap as possible while he's being held up. So pushing hard then in these first couple of laps. Purple sector fastest of anyone, so on for a fastest lap, as would be expected. 2.8 up on my standing start. So moving on to Ben then. He is almost guaranteed the championship now, really. I need to win all the remaining races. He needs to score very, very few points. I'm not sure of the exact amount, but I'm currently 57 points behind him with 3 races to go, so I'm sure you guys can work that out if you feel that way inclined. But my target now is just to stop him winning the championship at this race. He outscores me at this race, pretty much. He wins the championship. So I'm just trying to avoid that, and a race win, even if he comes second, a race win will just about avoid that. then we'll be on 50 points between me and Ben, with just 2 races left. So that would mean in order for me to win the championship, I'll need to win both races, and Ben would need to not score a single point. And I would win in that case, because even though we'd be on identical point score, I will have won more races. So I will actually win if that was the case. But as I said, very, very surprised if he doesn't score any. I mean, the only likelihood of that really is if he disconnects in both races or has a problem with the internet or something like that. But I think, to be honest, that's very unlikely, isn't it? So as I said, just realistically, just trying to stop him from getting the championship for as long as possible now. So as I said, if I win this race, which it looks like I might be able to, as long as I can not make too many mistakes. Oh, I run wide there though, but not too worried about that. So if I win this race, I'll at least hold him off for one more race, and he'll more than likely win it the next race. So 3.5 up on my previous lap then, 43.0, so fastest lap of the race that was. It still remains my fastest lap as we skip many, many laps there. Relatively boring race. Ben is now up to second, as Fernie made a mistake on his in lap and then pitted, of course, since it was his in lap. So he's dropped back, unfortunately, but Ben is now just pitting on this lap. So it was about 12 seconds or so. I know he's just coming to the pits, but it was around there anyway, I believe. So just over 10 seconds anyway. So we're now on lap 15 from, I believe, lap 3 is where we last left it. So many laps we've skipped. As I said, not what happened. I just conserved a bit of fuel, so I'm now on 3 laps of fuel. And I've been on that for many laps, so I should think I'm very close to 4 laps of fuel. And I've just been conserving fuel and just pulling out the gap bit by bit. So the gap to Rani then is 20 seconds. I think he's made a mistake, so I think he's had a bit of a spin, unfortunately. He was very close behind Ben, but said he's had a bit of a spin, which is once again gave him about a 10-second gap. So very similar amount of gaps once Rani is pitted. Very similar gaps between us all. 10 seconds between me and Ben, 10 seconds between Ben and Rani. So it looks fairly static at the moment, but Ben is obviously pitted earlier than me. I'm due to pit on lap 17, and Ben's pitted on lap 14. So 3 laps earlier than me, but I'm not too worried about that. Like I said, I had that 10-second cushion, so I'm not going to get sucked into pitting at the same time as him and covering. Just going to lean there. Not going to get sucked into that. I don't need to with the gap I've got, and I feel like I've got plenty of pace to be able to beat him as well. So fingers crossed I can beat him. So 21.6 now to Rani, so still pulling out a lot of time despite saving fuel. It's going very well indeed for me. Very happy with that. So it's only lap 15, so I've got a few more laps now before I come into the pits. So I'm sure, if I can recall what I edited, I'm sure that this one will likely be a skip lap, and we'll skip forward to lap 17, will we? Will indeed. That wasn't a bad guess, was it? We just skip 1 lap then. I'll tell you my fuel strategy. I've been going to standard mix from that start-finish straight right through to the end of the 2 long straights, and then we're going to lean for the final sector. So overall, it's been saving me a little bit of fuel, not a lot, but a little bit, just enough. As the gap to Ben is now, we'll find out in just a second. There he is, 24.2 seconds, so plenty of time to Ben. Not too worried. If I wanted to cover him, I could have pitted earlier. Decided to stay out a bit longer so that I'll have less power for the end of the race. Hopefully be able to do some of those. A fastest lap, but he's done a 42.0, so exactly 1 minute 42 to the nearest thousandth of a second. That's not bad, is it? But, I'm hopeful I can beat that. Again, not too worried. I feel confident in the amount I've pulled out to the guys behind me in this race. And as I said, quite surprised to get pole, to be honest. I think Ben's personal best was around my pole time on primes, I believe. It was around a 49.0, but he just couldn't pull out on the day, so he winded up with a 39.0. He winded up with a 40.0. Second off his PB, unfortunately for him, but there we go. It's all about getting the lap together. Didn't quite manage it. So we're on lean now then. We'll be coming into the pits at the end of this sector, at the end of this lap. For a brand new set of the option tyres, where I'll be then going for it. I'm pushing very hard indeed to try and get a fast lap of the race. I always like to get that. I like to get the triple, pole, race win, and the fastest lap. If I've got pole and I'm looking like I can get the race win, I always like to push for the fastest lap. It's really 3 objectives I have for every race. There's a warning there for coming to the pits, a bit of a glitch. Unfortunately, it thinks you're cutting the last corner when you're actually coming to the pits, but there we go. So as I said, yeah, 3 objectives I've got for every race. Pole, but I'm not usually that bothered about that. I'm more bothered about the race win. That's my primary target. Fastest lap, I'd like to get that as well, but again, not too bothered. I think I'd probably rather pole than fastest lap. So fastest lap is like a tertiary target, really. Coming to the exit now at this pit lane, very, very tight under the tunnel. Very easy to lose your front wing in there, but I managed to navigate it safely. So let's see what the gap's going to be to Ben now then. He's been closing me down over the last few laps. That's to be expected. It's on the faster option tyres, and of course, he hasn't got any tyre wear, whereas my tyres were very near the end of their life. So 41.9, Ben's fastest lap then. Again, I'm confident I can beat that. I'm not too sure what yet, but I'm sure about to find out, as these tyres are already feeling better. Despite being cold, they're already feeling better. Give me more grip, give me more confidence. As you see there, look, rear tyres are starting to warm up. Front tyres are still quite cold. So, braking now then, right down to the end of the first back straight really, and this is the second back straight. Ooh, as I clocked the curb there. Took off a little bit. Coming down the second back straight now then. I didn't actually catch the gap to Ben in that last sector. I will catch it this time. So down on the previous lap, understandably, since I came in the pits at the beginning of this lap. So what's the gap to Ben then? It's at 6.2 seconds, so he has gained about 4 or 5 seconds or so on me in the pit stop phases, but obviously that is because he pitted earlier, so he'll probably be slow at the end of the race with greater tyre wear, so again, doesn't worry me. Now on options, I'm confident I can be faster than him. As that hotel there lights up nicely. The sky does look very dark, but there was a 0% chance of rain, so I'm not expecting any, but I think more so it's dark, because of course this is a twilight race, isn't it? It gets dark during the race, so it starts in the day, and by the time they finish it's night time. So you can see the floodlights there, they are switched on. This race isn't quite long enough to get it fully dark. That's partly why the sky's looking dark, because it is literally getting dark. So 5.9 to Ben now then, so we did actually gain a little bit on me, but I'm now on rich mixture. I said I've got plenty of spare fuel, almost 4 laps. I should imagine a couple more laps on lean, that would have been up to 4 laps, so plenty of quick laps I can put in now. So Ben's done a 41.4, so that's a strong lap from him. Ooh, as I went a bit wide in the chicane, compromised me a little bit, but it's only green, personal best, not purple, fastest of anyone, so it's not on for the fastest lap yet, but now 6.1 to Ben, so I have pulled out a bit of time on this particular lap. So I'm coming down the back straight now, once again still on rich. That does tend to give you about a second a lap on average over all the tracks of the season. On this track, probably does give about the same because of the big long straights. And the first sector, the final sector, doesn't really make a huge difference. But I should think because of the other straights it does. So it gives quite a big advantage really. Ooh, as I come very close to that DRS board there. Very, very close indeed, but I'm completely switched on in this race. In fact, it's a bit of a lie. I did get a bit bored from time to time, if I'm honest. Just leading from start to lap 19. Just leading from there. It's easy to lose concentration. I was concentrating on the gaps of the people behind me. Not really to me, between second and third and fourth. I'm looking on the mini-map, seeing what's going on behind me, so I wasn't really fully concentrated on my race. So I locked my inside wheel a little bit there. But I've still managed to keep out of the barriers and stop spinning. So it's not the end of the world, but now I am concentrating, now I am pushing hard. I'm on rich mixture, I'm going for a fastest lap of the race. Hopefully I can do it. Can I do it? Wasn't purple up until now, but can I pull it out in the last sector? What's it going to be? It's a 41.1 and it's purple, fastest of anyone, so fastest lap of the race there. 41.1, I've already snatched it off Ben, but I've got many more laps of rich fuel left to go, so I'm going to continue to push hard, find the limits, and bring my car right up to them. Ben's now 7.2, wow, okay, so that's about a second in 1 lap I believe, wasn't it? So it's a big amount of time to lose to me, as I'm 600s up in the first sector, and now it is purple, fastest of anyone, so that's good. So it's been a better first sector marginally. It was a better chicane just after the first sector, or just in the beginning of the second sector really, so it's been better so far, and I'm expecting I'm probably a couple of tenths up already in the sector. We'll see how it turns out then. So I'm braking right down now then, towards the end of the long straights. Using the rest of my curves to come to the end of the second sector. So braking at 100 meter ball then, 6 tenths up, wow, okay, that's a lot up. On for a fastest lap then by over half a second, so what's that? That's going to be a 40.5 I believe, isn't it? 40.5, that's a very much. Very quick lap that I'm on at the moment. So, going to the final sector now then, can I get even more time? Let's see. Last couple of corners, still pushing very hard as you can see, still on rich mixture. Pushing very, very hard. Coming into the final corner now then. And across the line we go. What is it? Is it fastest lap? It is indeed a 40.5, so didn't gain any more time in the final sector, but I'll take that. Just give a few laps now then. Fair attempts really of fastest laps for the next few laps. So coming around the first corner, pushing very hard once again. See if I can do it. lap 25 and 28 we are on now. Into the first sector, and it's a 10th and a half up. Purple, fastest of anyone, so I'm on another quick lap. Can I improve my fastest lap? Can I bring it down a bit further? We'll have to see. As I'm using a bit of curves now then, down the long back straight. It's just gone to rich, even though I'm only on optimal fuel. I've gone to rich mixture. Since I reckon I can just about do it, and if I need to, I will conserve fuel at the end there, but hopefully I won't need to. So trying to maintain the speed, which I've managed to do. Second long straight, then using the rest of my curves. We'll get a sector 2 time in a moment. Let's hope it's still purple, fastest of anyone, so I can improve my lap further. Didn't mention the gap to Ben, I believe it's around 10 seconds again now. So I pulled out 8 tenths up on my previous that was, so I'm not sure how quick that is, but it's purple. It's still fastest so far. So I get a bit of corner cutting then, pushed a bit too hard under braking for the left, right, left. And run off the track once again. I'm pushing a bit too hard now. I'm just falling off the track here and there, but still pushing hard to try and get the fastest lap if I can. So coming right now down then into the final sector under the hotel that's lit up lovely. Still pushing very hard indeed. Can I do it? Bouncing over the curbs all over the place. Just skim the wall on the outside. Oh, bit of oversteer there. Coming into the penultimate corner then. Braking down into third gear over the curbs. Can I do it? Final corner. Need to try and hold it tight. Can I manage it? Yes, I can. A 40.395 then. A second up my previous, but that doesn't mean anything. A couple of tenths up my fastest lap then. So that looks like that's going to be my fastest lap since I've got more or less no fuel left. And I am now into the first sector of my final lap. I've gone to rich just to see if I can use a bit of fuel. I'm not expecting to get a fastest lap. Then you can see the sky's much darker. What I was talking about, it's actually getting dark. So it's only a 50% race, so we'd only be halfway through right now if this was 100%. So it'd be pitch dark by the end. But obviously you've got the floodlights to light the track. So final lap then, 13.7 seconds to Ben. So plenty of gap back to him. He's not going to catch me now. It looks like a comfortable race win for me. Final time I'm coming down this long back straight then. Braking right now down into the, I guess you could call it a chicane. It's a bit of a interesting one, but it is sort of a chicane. It's a left-right. So I'm still on rich then. I'm seeing them on optimal. I've still got plenty of fuel left. Comes in the second sector. 6 tenths up. That's obviously not purple. It's not fastest. I'm not expecting it to be. Just cruising now around really. Still pushing a little bit hard because I want to maximise the gap to Ben. It always looks good on me, doesn't it, if it's a bigger gap. So I'm still going to push hard and see if I can maximise the gap best I can. 14 seconds exactly to Ben. Look at that. See if I can put out a bit more time in the final sector then. So don't forget to stay tuned after the race for not only the championship table but also the stats. There's some interesting race stats for this race. Average sector times and things. So it's very interesting. So that will be just after this race. So coming around the final corner now then to take the race win. I believe it's my 7th race win of the season. It is indeed 7th race win. And there we go. 13.998 seconds to Ben then. So I'm happy with that. 14 seconds to a guy that's very quick and is about to win the championship. 25 points to me, not that it particularly matters. And Rani managed to come third there with Zermacher in 4th. So there's the table then. As I said, bang on 50 points now because Ben came second between me and Ben. 2 more races to go, so if I win both of those and Ben scores no points, I will be the champion, but as I said, extremely unlikely. I think the only chance of that is if he happens to disconnect in both races, which is, as I said, very, very unlikely because you can see there he hasn't disconnected once. Obviously I have. He hasn't disconnected at all, so looks like he's going to win it. So moving on to the race stats now then. So as you can see there, race history. I was of course first. It's interesting there to see the gap to Ben. There's how it grew and grew in the first stint. Then he gained a lot through the pit stop phase. Then of course it just lines got further and further apart, didn't they, in the final stint there. And lots of squiggly lines for everyone else. I'm sure you can have a quick look at that if you want to. Moving on now then to the lap 1 position changes. So see there, Ben actually did wind up gaining a position because he was he lost that 1 position up until the end of the 2nd sector, and then he gained it at the beginning of the 3rd sector in the left, right, left. So actually overall he was up 1. Linios, my teammate, down 2. Unfortunately, I didn't actually mention where he finished. He managed to finish 7th place in the end, so at least he got a few more points on the board. Race positions then, as you can see there, I was in 1st place all the way, of course, completely straight line for me there. And Ben there, you can see, steady gain, he came up through the field. Fernie did the exact opposite, went down, unfortunately for him. Me in lap by lap position, of course, my average position was 1st, of course, and Ben's was sort of 2.5 there, and he came 2nd, so interesting there. Moving on then to the fastest lap. my fastest lap was almost a second faster than Ben's. Wow, it's a huge difference, isn't it? That's pretty amazing. And fastest sector 1 time then, about a 10th faster than everyone else, or 10th faster than Bishop. And sector 2, actually a lot faster, wasn't it? Look at that, that's a huge amount. 6/10 faster than Ben. I was in the middle sector on my fastest lap. And final sector, 10th faster than Zomaker. Average lap times then, my average lap time was 103 seconds, 0.465. Ben's was 103.9, so that's about half a second or so, isn't it? And then back to Rani in third, it was over a second. Look at that, wow. It's a lot of time on average lap times. Average sector 1 time then, mine was a 19.2. Zomaker's nearest me with a 19.3. Average sector 2 times, mine was a 43.1, and Ben's was a 43.3, and we were miles ahead of everyone else. Look at that. That's obviously where we were gaining most of our time. I was gaining almost a second on Zomaker on average in the second sector. That's a lot, isn't it? Average sector 3 times then, and once again I was fastest. So overall I was fastest on everywhere, wasn't I, on this circuit? And the relative standard deviation there, it's a bit difficult to understand what that really means, but it gives you a rough idea of how consistent you were really, and it's relative to the most consistent guy, so it's all relative to David there. So did reasonably well in that as well, so I'm happy with those stats. Like I said, fundamentally on top, wasn't I? Turns out I was fastest drive by a reasonable way. I managed to win by quite a margin, didn't I? And I had a bit of pace in hand as well. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.